Blake Lively is up to her old tricks of smearing Justin Baldoni in the press. Are we even surprised at this point? Not only is she up to her old tricks of smearing Justin Baldoni in the press, but she has also changed her story yet again to say that the retaliation actually started during the movie. She claims that on the sourced intelligence docket, where she also was just shut down, and the judge had said, no, you cannot get documents between Brian Friedman and the private investigation firm he hired. Lady, take a seat. Finally, someone is saying no to Blake. This video is going to get no reach, but I refuse to be silenced, and I refuse. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ashley Brianna Eve. I have over 15 years of experience in branding, marketing, and PR. And if I'm being quite honest, what this channel is all about is media manipulation and narrative control. We look at trending stories and typically pop culture stories and break it down to look at what is actually happening behind the headlines, because we need to question every headline. In fact, one of my merch mugs says, trust no headline, because I genuinely believe that we can trust no headline today. There is always a spin. There is always an agenda. And it's not about right versus left. It's not about the country you live in. There is always a motive. And on this channel, regardless of topic, I want to help expose it with you. Now, before we get started, I want to do my own ad spot today, my friends, and I want to talk about my upcoming course. For those that are newer to the channel, you might not realize that over the last 6 years online, I've taken 15 years of experience in branding, marketing, and PR and packaged it into courses for those that can't afford the price that comes with a consultant or having a branding and marketing specialist on your team. And you guys have been asking, can you help us with a beginner YouTube course? And one of the things that I specialize in is building brands for longevity and building a brand based on you. I believe you are the brand. So this is a 30-day course. We are going to have 8 modules, 4 group calls, live group calls on Zoom. And in under 30 days, we'll cut through the noise and build the foundation of a profitable YouTube channel. Now, this isn't about fancy equipment. I am going to show you what I like to call the basic bitch shortcuts to find how to get a better setup without spending thousands of dollars. My first $20,000 month in my online business, and I remember it vividly, my goal was to be able to put up the Christmas tree if I hit my goal. I was still doing videos in the corner of a basement because my husband would work nights and I didn't want to wake him up. So I'd film in the corner of a basement without even a ring light. 20K months. So the reality is you don't need all of the fancy equipment. You need a strong foundation. And so if you're looking for that, building a YouTube channel, getting started without the fancy equipment, this is for you. No more excuses, as it says here. And I have limited time pricing that's available for 5 more days. If it's calling you, I would love to serve you in there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to have my hands inside your YouTube channel to help you figure out what is your brand, what is your niche, what is the gap in the market that you serve, and how can we intentionally grow your channel with SEO and essentially simply branding you. All right, my friends, with that, let's get back to this episode. Now, you know, if you're a frequent visitor of the channel, that I love looking at SEO, search engine optimization, and what's happening with the news cycle, because this gives us insight into who's doing what from a PR lens. And does it even surprise you that Blake Lively is using the hiring of these new lawyers against Justin in the media? No, not even in the slightest, not even a little bit. What happened is Justin Baldoni had hired what they are terming Blake Lively, allegedly, my opinion only, is terming Diddy's lawyers. And these individuals that were brought on the docket and brought onto the case for Justin Baldoni, Alexandra Shapiro is a massive name. Initially, a lot of individuals within the Justin Baldoni team, Justin Baldoni camp, were saying, well, this means there is an appeal coming 100%. This is a big appeal. This is the golden Easter egg. If we're going to take terms from Taylor Swift, this is a golden Easter egg that there is an appeal coming. I said, not so fast. I'm not saying there isn't, but she is someone that I have been told over and over again, he should have had on the case from the very beginning. I was told this lawyer is just the lawyer of lawyers and perfect for a federal case like this. So based on what was coming into my DMs from people that aren't necessarily connected with Justin, but just know the legal system in New York or connected to the legal system in New York, I was told this is who you want on your team. So when I had heard that, I had said on the channel, I'm not entirely convinced that this is simply just an appeals situation. And that was confirmed when yesterday, I believe, yes, it was yesterday, there was a notice of appearance by Alexandra A.E. Shapiro on behalf of Jennifer Abel, Justin Baldoni, Melissa Nathan, Wayfair Studios LLC, over on the Jones versus Abel docket. And we're not talking about appeals over there. I'm really interested. You guys know I'm watching that one like a hawk because I think there's going to be an interesting connection with potentially Melissa Nathan and Jed Wallace over there. So I do think that these new lawyers have a much bigger role than what initially might have been assumed based on that. And we'll also look at Not Actually Golden, who talks about it. However, just to stay on track here with SEO, Blake is pushing this narrative about hiring Diddy's lawyers. Well, we saw this before. She wasn't running to the media saying that she works with Harvey Weinstein's PR people. I think it's Leslie Sloan. No, of course not. She's not running the media with that. But she ran to the media right away over having Johnny Depp's PR firm on the Wayfair side. She runs to the media right away about Justin having Diddy's lawyers. So let's have a look. People magazine, Justin Baldoni hires Diddy's lawyers as explosive legal battle with Blake Lively heats up. The actor-director has hired Alexandra Shapiro, a former Supreme Court clerk who represented Sean Diddy Combs, and Sam Bankman-Fried as tensions with Lively rise. Justin Baldoni has added a new attorney to his legal team as his intensifying civil dispute with Blake Lively barrels towards trial. So Alexandra Shapiro, prominent New York-based criminal defense attorney, we talked about who her clients are, and she formally showed up on the docket last week. Says a former federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, Shapiro was one of the first clerks to serve under Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the U.S. Supreme Court. She later co-founded a boutique litigation firm known for handling complex, high-profile cases across the country. Her addition comes as tensions between Lively 38 and Baldoni 41 continue to escalate. Now we know what this is all about, the case. But again, we're just seeing Blake run with, it's a nothing burger. It's a nothing burger. I don't understand. This is an incredibly talented lawyer. But Blake is running with it. You know, I have to admit, I'm kind of getting bored with Blake's tactics. Covering her is so predictable. I get DMs. I got about 20 DMs just yesterday talking about more awards that Ryan Reynolds is getting. And I'd said, well, it's literally just 10 hours after I did a video about reputation laundering on him. They're predictable. How many times can you say the same thing? She's going to smear Justin. Ryan Reynolds is going to do reputation laundering. They are so predictable in the moves they make. So right here, again, we're seeing this everywhere. Justin Baldoni adds Diddy lawyers to his legal team. And I imagine that if this was his PR, he wouldn't be leading with Diddy's lawyers. Prominent New York attorney would probably be what he would be leading with rather than Diddy's lawyers. Now, I want to look into a little bit of who she is because, yes, Blake's going to do Blake things. I mean, all I can do is deep sigh. I mean, who knew that looking into politics would be a break because of how crazy Blake is? But, looking into politics right now seems to be a break from this madness. But let's look into who she is. Who is Alexandra Shapiro? So who is Alexandra Shapiro? All about ex-Diddy lawyer now representing Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively case. Former federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, Alexandra Shapiro is a well-known criminal defense lawyer in the U.S. She has been in the news for handling major cases involving celebrities and business leaders. More recently, according to the court records reviewed by People magazine, they make it seem like people got these secret court documents. Girl, anyone can get them. Anyone can log on to Court Listener and get them. Stop pretending that there's some secret, clandestine law filings that no one can get. And People magazine was able to access them. Come on, so dramatic. All right, so based on these court records reviewed by People magazine, She is set to join the legal team of Justin Baldoni. Shapiro's name is linked to some of the most talked about trials in recent years. So again, as soon as her name came up, not just because she had been recommended to me in my DMs as someone that you would want on your case if you're dealing with federal cases in New York, but this is why her name, I knew it right away. 2025, she defended music mogul Sean. I've been recording a lot today. Words have no meaning anymore. Sean Diddy Combs in his federal trafficking case. Previously, Alexandra Shapiro has also represented the FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried. As per People magazine, Shapiro's notice of appearance was filed last week. We know that. Her legal career, she co-founded the New York litigation boutique, Shapiro, Arato, Bach, LLP. Firm is known to represent clients dealing with appeals. And I think that's where a lot of people were assuming and excited that they may be appealing the New York Times case. I hope they do. I've said this over and over again. My goal for 2025, at this point, I don't care who it is for someone to take down the New York Times. I am so tired of legacy media manipulating the truth and twisting the facts and playing with people's subconscious minds in a way that really programs us to think a certain way that might not be how we would think otherwise if we had the true facts. I am tired of these hit squads, as Candace Owens calls them. They are, whether you like Candace or not, they are allegedly my opinion only and Candace's opinion only. Follow the money to why they have a certain opinion, and I'm so tired of it. So anyway, New York Times has to go. I hope they appeal. But she is known for appeals, civil litigation, high stakes criminal and regulatory matters. Beginning her career with a clerkship at the Supreme Court under Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she joined the Southern District of New York as an assistant U.S. attorney thereafter, also serving as the deputy chief appellate attorney. And she co-founded Shapiro, Arato, Bach, probably pronounced that all wrong, in 2009. As per Shapiro's official website, in many crime and civil cases, especially high-profile white-collar matters, Shapiro has also won appellate reversals. She has a history being well-known in high-stakes criminal cases, which I would say this is a high-stakes case, and appellate law, representing prominent celebrities, corporate CEOs, Wall Street professionals, as well as public and private companies. She's also the author of the book titled Presumed Guilty, published in 2022, revolving around wrongful white-collar prosecution. All right. So, I mean, this woman she is the best of the best from what I hear. But again, of course, Blake Lively, the eternal lifting up girls girl, right? She's the voice of women, has got to tear down this woman and reduce her to just having represented Sean P. Diddy Combs. Now, let's have a look at what Not Actually Golden has to say, because I think she's also thinking this isn't just about appeals.
I saw the sourced intelligence order that it was denied. The motion to compel was denied. It made sense to me. Wayfair did a pretty good job of arguing basically the same thing that had gotten the motion to compel denied on their part for Jones and the Edgeworth security thing. Like, if a contractor's hired directly by counsel, we're not going to touch it. So, and I wasn't going to talk about it because I'm fucking tired. And I have to get up at the crack of ass for a baseball game. And then I'm sitting here clicking around my computer, and Shapiro and Bach, the new lawyers, have appeared in the Jones versus Abel case. They don't need to do that if all they're going to do is try to keep the New York Times from getting a final judgment to affect the appeal timing. I mean, the cases are related, and the discovery in the cases is related, but they're not consolidated. They're not the same case. That is curious. That is very, very curious.
I love the cliffhanger there. Katie, I agree with you in your comment. What a cliffhanger. I mean, honestly, that is a great way to get people to subscribe and continue to follow you, leaving a cliffhanger like that, because I want to know, what do you think? But honestly, guys, I think there's something really big being planned. And I also believe, and big being planned outside of just an appeal, I genuinely believe that these lawyers are going to change the pace of what's going on. This isn't popular to say. People get very upset with me when I say it. However, I do think Brian Freeman and co have been dropping the ball, even if we just look at it from the lens of, for example, let's use the Taylor Swift example. They had filed the letter to extend the deadline to fit Taylor in at the end of October. After Blake responded, they then hit back with, but we have evidence. And at that point, the judge had already said no, denied it, denied the extension for Taylor. But if history tells us anything with this judge, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge, I'm just some branding and marketing girl on the internet. If history tells us anything with this lawyer, he moves quick with decisions against Wayfair, which I agree is sus. I agree that there's a bias here, 100%. And if you're a lawyer on the team and you know there's a bias, wouldn't you just put the evidence in at the beginning? And I do believe that the judge, for whatever reason, is just not overly a fan of Brian. So I think we're going to see a big shift in strategy. And I think we're going to be seeing a big shift in even maybe judgments. If Alexandra Shapiro knows how to argue in front of this judge in New York in a federal case, I don't know. I think we might start seeing things shift. I hope, at least. Hopefully, this isn't just, blind delusion. It might be, after covering this case since December 2024, it might be blind delusion. But I have a good feeling. I have a feeling things are going to shift. All right, I was asked to cover something else. Now, I haven't looked into these documents at all, but it shocked me to see. So we're going to look at this together. Same girl, different time, asked if I was comfortable to share this. And I am, so we will. This is what has come out just in the last day. Now, I have been pretty eyeballs deep, as I told Same Girl, eyeballs deep in the Charlie Kirk and, oh my goodness, so many other things. Jimmy Kimmel, Tom Hanks, all of these things that are going on, the censorship that's going on. I've been eyeballs deep. So I have not been keeping up on a lot to do with the case, in full transparency. And so I was tagged in this just to see. And let's go through it together. I haven't looked at all the documents. I did a brief read through, but when I get stuff like this, I love doing this with you. Question: should I release the name of the new shell company that was formed conveniently as Wayfair was pushing Van Zandt to hand over their information, or have you had enough today? I mean, obviously, everyone's going to say, do it. Do it. All right. Here it is. Whoops. Oh, you can see I don't know how to use TikTok. More on this later, but this looks like State of California, a limited liability company named, oh my gosh, I'm going to expose my age in a minute. Vestone Investments, LLC. And the caption here is, as the fighting about Swift hit the docket, everyone was distracted. And right before Van Zandt's motion to compel was granted for Van Zandt Info, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's business managers were quick to form this beauty of a company, seemingly a new iteration of a 1998 shell company they took over years prior, like they did with Van Zandt. Timing is everything. Not to mention, they updated the filing in July at the height of the uproar of the content creators getting subpoenaed. I think we all knew that was just a distraction. All right. So it looks, and again, I haven't looked into these documents myself. I mean, it's right here, seems to be on the up and up, but it looks like they filed to take over a new shell company. We know Blake and Ryan love their shell companies. They love them. And then we have this here, and I was tagged in this one. And Britt had said, let me see if it'll let me zoom in. Y'all, I need to wear my glasses. I'm old. I need to wear my glasses. Also, I'm really tired. I have been looking at a computer. I've been trying to batch create a bunch of stuff so I can catch up for you guys. I have been working day and night basically. And so it's just blurry. All right, Britt, who we love, said, "We know more than that. We know that Blake went to New York Times sometime before they published. Do we know when? We know they had the bulk of information and repeated Blake's story. We know New York Times reached out too." And I can't see the rest of that. Now, if you are someone that hangs around the channel, if not, please like, subscribe, hang out with us. We don't just do pop culture. We do tackle trending stories in regards to Jimmy Kimmel, which is kind of in the pop culture vein. I am covering as well some of the media manipulation going on around Charlie Kirk. Feel free to pass those videos if you don't like a political type lens on things or that type of media manipulation, but it's still under the umbrella of media manipulation and narrative control. So media manipulation is huge for me. And when we're looking at this New York Times case, I said, and I still stand by it, I will cry on the hill that based on the timeline of everything, it feels like the New York Times. Sorry for those pings. My husband's updating me about the bakery he went to get me some goodies. A little behind the scenes. It feels like to me, based on the timeline, that Van Zandt was done. Like Blake, Leslie, Stephanie, the whole merry band of psychos went to the New York Times. I personally feel that the New York Times or someone within this camp had said, we need to basically cover our asses. I believe they got the Van Zandt lawsuit or subpoenas for the text messages after the fact that everyone had already seen the text messages. My personal belief, it was done to cover people's asses. So if they had like this litigation privilege. So they did the Van Zandt lawsuit. They get the text messages. I genuinely believe that the New York Times was in on this the whole time. I also believe that these Pulitzer winner prize journalists and everything are just a hit squad, as Candace would call them. So anyway, that is my belief, my thoughts, that they were all in cahoots from the get-go. Now, this is the timeline here. 12/12/2024. Final video content completed and uploaded internally. All internal visuals, example, screenshots, text displayed inside the video were finished. Audio, narration, music, sound was finalized. Final MP4 video file was uploaded to New York Times private video server. December 17th, 2024, external promotional images uploaded and linked to the video. Only external images for thumbnails, social media previews, and homepage teasers were added. No edits were made to the actual video or audio content itself. 12/21/2024, video and article published publicly. Upload date and modified date match exactly. No post-publication editing or modifications detected in metadata. So to sum it up, before the New York Times had the actual video ready internally for at least 9 days before they publicly posted it. They prepared promotional materials 4 days before publishing. They uploaded and published the final video to the public at the exact same time on December 21st. No public modifications recorded afterwards. It's clear, in my opinion, that this piece had a very specific agenda. It was not to summarize the CRD complaint, considering it included at least one private text that wasn't included in the CRD complaint. That is a great point. It wasn't truly to investigate because this video was completed. Great point. Uploaded and ready to go before they even asked Justin Baldoni's team for a statement. Great point. This is undeniable according to the metadata. She doesn't even mention a subpoena in the video. If there is a smoking gun against the New York Times, it is the video more than the article. They are seemingly not as careful with it. Next slide has an excerpt from the 276 pages of metadata that were analyzed and doubled and triple checked by 2 other professionals. Okay, so someone's having the same problem as me. They said, it says there's a next slide, but that's not here. So this is the previous post from months ago. I didn't add the second slide. Here it is. Okay, this is the New York Times video with Megan Twohey. So it has the link there with the date. 2024, 12/12. Yeah. That's the metadata on it. I genuinely believe that there needs to be a reopening of the New York Times case. I genuinely think and wonder if they don't want to rush that timeline just yet to finish discovery, to get all that information. Because from what I understand is they can still file their amended complaint. That's probably not the right words, but they can still file again their amended complaint based on evidence they find. So I don't think Wayfair is in a huge rush to close up the New York Times case, because I think they are hopeful, or they already have access to information that is going to incriminate them further in regards to Van Zandt. And them, I mean both Blake Lively and the New York Times. So this is really interesting, guys. Here, did you know that on October 15th, 2024, it was announced that the New York Times signed a multi-year contract with a company Ryan Reynolds has a $10 million stake in? Follow the money. I always say you got to follow the money, baby. Now, to loop back to Blake Lively's smear campaign, it's not really working, but here's my concern, bigger than just saying it's not really working. I do genuinely believe there is fatigue around this lawsuit, fatigue around Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and all of it, which unfortunately I had thought and kind of played with the idea originally of, are Blake and Ryan just looking to exhaust people, to exhaust the press, so people just stop covering it? And I have noticed, and a lot of content creators I'm friends with have also noticed, that content about Blake and Ryan and Justin, unless it's like big news, right? Like explosive news, it doesn't really get the reach it used to. People are not trial watching every single move anymore. People are exhausted, and they're looking more for those like big booms, right? Unfortunately, once discovery wraps up, we probably won't see much, I imagine. So if you have a YouTube channel and all you've been talking about is Blake and Justin, I highly recommend starting to branch out. I can help you with that in my new course. But I highly recommend starting to branch out, in all honesty, because one of the things that I see with the news around adding Shapiro is, honestly, I expected there to be more chatter about this. There's genuinely not, like, not really negative or positive. It's not going very far. And that concerns me more from a place of people are losing interest. And if people lose interest, what does that mean for justice? What does that mean for getting the truth out there? Because it might just turn into who can stay in the game and afford to stay in the game and wear out the public and keep up their image, which is something I have said. And I know people get really upset with me for saying it. I said, I think Ryan Reynolds is going to be fine. He's continuing to sign contracts, first look contracts, big sports team contracts, collaborations with big names. I mean, he's continuing to sign these contracts regardless of everything that's happened. And I've said, I think Blake will be fine as long as she stays with Ryan. And it's not what we want to hear. I hate saying it. When people get upset with me for saying it, it's not like I'm like, this is so great, I'm so excited. No, of course not. I'm team truth. From day one, I've said I'm team truth. But anyway, it's more concerning for me. This is good. The positive are outpacing the negative. But when you look at the actual breakdown, there's not much going either way. And not being talked about at all can also be a problem with a brand. One of the things I was saying in my most recent courses, and what we'll talk about in the YouTube course, is not having anyone say your name can also be the death of a brand. But we do have an uptick in 97%. That's nothing. Negative mentions. And again, it's kind of wild after Blake allegedly, from what it looks like, went on this new smear campaign. Not really much impact here. Uptick of positive mentions. That's the thing too. Like 144 isn't a lot. I would love to see Justin be getting more positive mentions. Now, the good thing, I mean, if we're going to celebrate something, guys, the positive, his sentiment overall has been overwhelmingly negative. It got down to 2.2%. So it's slowly, I mean, I'm going to take it. I will take the win. It's 2.4%, which is still very low. Unfortunately, and I've talked about this previously, the neutral took out some of the positive. So people shifted from positive to neutral, which is better than it shifting to negative, but it's still not great. but I will take the win. I'm taking the win, guys. We're going up. We're going up. I think that's great. But overall, like I said, it's my opinion that Blake has waged a new smear campaign. She tries to use everything. Any team member he brings on, she's going to weaponize it against him. He's likely used to that and aware, and his team's letting him know like that she's going to weaponize this in some way. It's not surprising. I'm also not surprised Shapiro was brought on. I have such a hard time with Shapiro because in my head I always go to Nick Shapiro. I am not surprised that Shapiro was brought on. I think that it was a smart move, maybe a little bit delayed move. It's not necessarily just the appeals. She's showing up on the Jones. I think there's big things coming and they want to bring in the heavy hitters. It'll be interesting to see what we get to see in regards to the moves that are happening and why they were brought in. But I'm hopeful. I'm genuinely hopeful things are going to start shifting because all I've heard about Alexandra Shapiro is this is the woman that should have been here all along. These are the litigators you want on your side. And likely going to be less and less big moves as we approach court after discovery wraps up. We're likely not going to see much other than probably, honestly, planned stunts by Blake and Ryan. I don't think together. You never see those two together anymore. I am pretty convinced that they are not living together, but I would assume that we're going to see more planned stunts between the two of them. Ryan's probably going to be out there doing planned stunts, getting more awards. Let's look at that really quick. He's going to be out there, planned stunts, getting more awards. Look at how amazing I am. I'm so humbled. It's surreal. I am receiving more awards from Canada because I am so beloved. He wants us to believe. So that's probably what you're going to see from Ryan is more reputation laundering. He receives Vancouver's highest honor. And I'm gonna be honest, I can't do every move with Ryan because that's all it is. It's reputation laundering. That's all it is. He's playing the long game, right? He's playing the long game. This reputation laundering is going to and typically pays off more long term. Let me know what you think, guys. These two are exhausting. Blake and Ryan are exhausting. Can you imagine having worked with them? No, thank you. Oh my goodness. All right. With that, my friends, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys. What I found, nobody wants to hear.